Hi, I'm Jamie Ian Swiss, and this is Iris. And this video is to introduce you to Iris, who is the senior member of the Indigo group here at Impeccable Indigos. She was hatched August of 2020, and I received her just about exactly a year later. She was produced by Robert Bruce, the largest breeder of Eastern Indigos exclusively in the United States. And she is now at a little more than 2 years old. She is at 1,000 grams at her weighing the other day after a recent shed. And she is typical Eastern Indigo. You can see all that nice red coloring there under the chin, the neck. And she is very muscular, but she is extremely calm. And Eastern Indigos are known for their handleability in general. You could even pick them up in the wild, although you shouldn't. You're actually legally prevented from doing that. But if you were, and other species of indigos, you can pick them up in the wild. They will rarely ever bite. And in captivity, really never, for all intents and purposes. But even then, females tend to be a little more high-strung than males, and Iris here has more of the temperament of a male. She's a little bit unusual in that way, in that she's really calm. She likes being out. She likes being handled. If we weren't sitting out here in the air where she's accustomed to taking a slither on the front lawn, she'd actually be just sort of settling down on my chest or in my arms, and she can be still for a very long time. She gets very, very comfortable. She eats a varied diet. Trimarchon cooperi, Eastern Indigo snakes, like all Trimarchon species that indigos and cribos eat, a quite varied diet in the wild, although their number one food item, which is established in research for Eastern Indigos and probably true of most of the genus, is snakes. And it's hard to get them snakes in captivity, and while many have kept them for many years just on rodent diets, the modern trend, the contemporary trend, is to vary their diet somewhat consistency with their wild diet. So she gets rodents, she gets quail, she gets chicks, she gets occasional fish, whole fish though, that I get from an Asian market, not fillet, which I don't recommend. And the only non-whole prey I'll give her is also from Asian markets. I get big frog's legs, which have a really healthy amount of bone in them. So you're not feeding just pure protein or fat and protein. She, at this size now, she's eating about once a week. Trimarchon have somewhat rapid metabolisms. They're always hunting for food. They don't take big, giant meals the way boas and pythons do, or even many other colubrid constrictors. They don't open their jaws as widely as those species, so they tend to be constantly on the hunt in the wild, covering large areas and feeding on a variety of animals, whatever they can overcome, because they are neither constrictors nor do they have venom. Their behaviors are very similar to the king cobras in many ways. They have large scales and dramatic heads, and they're extremely calm and non-defensive, which is actually largely true of king cobras. These are two of probably the most intelligent species among snakes, that being Eastern Indigos and king cobras. Reticulated pythons are probably up there too. But they're calm because as adults they're at the top of the food chain. They have almost no natural enemies. And so they go through the world fairly undisturbed if they reach adulthood. And they eat anything they can overpower. And that's the thing with indigo snake. Again, no venom, no constricting, so they have to take prey that they can overpower. And whereas most constrictors and venomous snakes strike and retreat, the constrictors will take the animal and coil. The venomous snakes will strike and then release and wait and then track the animal. when it dies from the envenomation. In the case of Drymarchon, they strike forward and they keep going because they strike hard, and they're going to drive the prey animal into a rock or a tree or the ground or whatever's available and trying to overcome it. So Drymarchon have notoriously strong feeding responses, and the only way people get bit in captivity is by making the mistake of not making it clear to the snake that it's not feeding time, it's handling or maintenance time or whatever. There are various ways to do that. I'll discuss in future videos, and you can also find discussed in detail on impeccableindigos.com, where we have a very extensive amount of information about husbandry, as well as in the resources page information about wild indigo snakes. Anyway, this is Iris. She's the oldest and largest. She's at 1,000 grams. I think I mentioned that, probably about 5.5 feet now, and she will be the senior member of the future breeding colony here, which shortly, within the next few months, will be completed with 2.3. That is to say, 2 males, 3 females, and it will be a red chin trio and a black pair. Anyway, I will introduce you to some of the other snakes in future installments. I'll get deeper into the natural and captive behavior and care of these animals in future videos. But right now, this is an introduction to Iris, Queen of the Forest.